Hello everyone, and welcome back to Have a Nice Death. Crow here, and today I think we're going to go ahead and look at most of the Pitbook entries, just to get this out of the way, but also just to see what lore and everything is all about. And if we have enough time, we're going to go ahead and try to give it another run. If not, then of course we'll do something else. Alright, this is just how to do different things. It explains, like, the solary is your currency, the prisium is a different kind of currency. Every time you upgrade with prisium, you get better merch. Curses are the equivalent of upgrades. The manager, store, and appraisal is the ingots, like I explained in the last episode or the episode before. So let's go ahead and go to enemies. So Flying Book, Pyroghost, Spooksman, Ghosts. We already went over these ones. So let's go down to Will Hung. Vegetary Inspector Thanager. One might assume Will is the dead body hanging from the knot tied in the rope. He finds this assumption infuriating because Will is the rope. He had the same problem back when he worked with dockers in the land of the living, and Will hated that, or when they confused him with someone else. He allegedly tried to make himself stand out by strangling some of his mortal colleagues, which earned him his place at Death Inc. Unfortunately for him, the situation didn't improve once he started working for the company. Alright, so that's all we have for enemies, oddly enough. So let's go into our employees. Death, the CEO and co-founder of Death Incorporated. Death has been around since the dawn of time. It started out as a small family business, peacefully reaping souls, soul after soul, in the time-honored tradition and ancient passing rites. Pumpkin, the intern. A graduate from the... I feel like I've already said these two, but we'll go ahead and go with this again, and I'll edit this part out if I need to. Pumpkin, intern, a graduate from the Sepulchral School of Eternal Vanity Management, SSEVM. Pump had their sights set on an internship at Death Inc. Thanks to a lot of determination and insistence, Pump has found a place managing the agenda of Death himself. Good for you. Joe, office manager. This is what happens when you drink too much black coffee. In fact, the coffee Joe drinks is now so strong that it once got him in a chokehold. Well, not the coffee itself, of course, but rather the sugar lump that he likes to dip it in to warm himself up. Since he's incapable of focusing on anything for longer than a second, he accidentally mixed up his usual cube of sugar with a stock cube that expired 3 years ago. Patrick, receptionist. Patrick Thuggins was the victim of a terrible prank at the company he worked at while he was alive. Blind as a bat, someone stole his glasses for a laugh, and poor old Patrick unwittingly overcooked his favorite dish at the company restaurant. He remembered to pierce the lid with a fork, but accidentally heated it in the nuclear reactor instead of the microwave. See, this does sound a little familiar. Mr. OSHA, health and safety inspector. Tony OSHA has never once smiled in his whole life, and he's not about to start now. Well, okay, he does smile sometimes, but only on those rare occasions when his natural cynicism bears witness to the irony of a truly scathing situation, like when a colleague finds themselves locked in the copy room for days. Wonderful guy. Mark, food truck driver, company snack manager. When he was alive, Mark used to work on a cool TV show bringing science to the masses. That's where he developed his particularly friendly way of talking to his customers. He drove the truck that served as a backdrop to the shows. A funny guy who was always ready with a wink and a joke or two. He's a nice guy. Harriet, business coach. Great to the power of and distance second cousin of Death. Harriet would have taken up a similar career, but she instead opted to try her luck with the 2098 Extreme Olympic Games before passing away in a dramatic hang-gliding javelin throwing competition. Pretty extreme. All right, that's it for employees. All right, now for weapons. The scythe. Anywhere death goes, the scythe follows. The two are inseparable. It is the physical incarnation of death's supreme power, and death alone can wield it. The legendary weapon can cut through time, space, and the elements. Legend has it this scythe gives off the most awful, noxious gases, can summon up lightning, and even make a nice cup of black coffee from coffee lawak beans, all at the snap of skeletal fingers. The cloak. Since the beginning and for some timelines the end, Death has worn a black hooded robe, also known as the mantle in some parts of the world. But as the saying goes, the clothes do not make it the man, since most men don't go around with scythes harvesting others' souls. The cloak has the ability to turn into just about anything, although it definitely has a preference for destructive weapons and becoming invisible. I wish I had a cloak like that. Pretty cool. The Pitbook. The company's codex, its heart and soul. The codex has gone by many names: the Book of Doors, the Book of the Void, the Tale of the Final Passage. It's not a particularly serious book, which is why it's not surprising to see the following on its inside cover: the top 100 stupidest deaths, or anyone who reads this will die soon. No, seriously. The Bahamorth. We all have bad days at work, and Death particularly hates it when people take him for an idiot. Edbert Behammer, for example, was one of the mail department's best managers, but he had an annoying tendency to push the envelope a bit too far. If a colleague was talking too loudly, rather than simply ask them to quiet down a bit, he jumped straight to headbutting them. He was big into body language. The Brutum Hammer. We all have bad days at work. Okay, so it's basically the same thing as the Bahamorth. It just has a different ability. All right, the Kazekunai. The Kazekunai, or wind tools, were forged by Death himself before he decided to enter into a millennia-long collaboration with Jacob that's still paying off to this very day. These knives are forged from a metal that is lighter than air, but much sharper than any mineral found on the surface. They open up to form a fan, which Death particularly appreciates when he's working out in the field. Revelation Bow. The enchanted bow, known as Revelation, is not one of Death's favorite weapons. It is, however, an elegant, light, and quick-to-use bow that is ideal for close combat. Its cord, woven from a 1,000-year-old beast's hair, can launch devastating projectiles when drawn back to maximum tension. Nevertheless, Death doesn't like carrying it around for two good reasons. Which are... what? Fire arrow. During his studies at the old Cornell University, where the undead entities learn to bend space and time to their own will, Death picked up his first Pitbook, in which he enters all his arcane creations. The first of these concepts became the fire arrow spell. This spell really turns up the heat in the battlefield. Wondering, can I expand that? No, I can't. All right, places. Death Incorporated. For a long, long time, Death worked alone with no place to call home. Back then, he didn't even keep a log to track his victims. It was a time of adventure where the line between passion and professionalism was quite thinly drawn. All this changed when Death met Jacob, and they realized that they needed somewhere to house his colossal forge. Then they had to delegate to a handful of spectral staff using the cloak's power. The company first began to take shape in the crypt of an abandoned cathedral somewhere in Europe. Pretty cool. The CEO's office, where it all ends. This is the nickname Death Inc.'s employees have bestowed upon the CEO's office. Despite the countless number of complex criteria customers' souls have to meet to have a nice death, the final decision ultimately belongs to Death himself. He has given his authorization, approving their damnation with his enchanted seal, and muttering a short, solemn phrase that is known to him and him alone. But recently, monotony has crept into the usual protocol, hence the reason of this game. Hall of Eternity. Understandably, the Hall of Eternity makes an appearance in a lot of earthly folklore, because it marks the entrance to the immortal world of the great beyond. Of course, after aeons of war, pandemics, and all sorts of catastrophes on the surface, it has lost some of its shine. Not that Death cares one jot about it. or about that. As far as he's concerned, the hall looks exactly as you'd expect it to, a functional space in which to carry out administrative work. And that's it for places. So I'm going to go ahead and continue playing for a little bit. I'm making a diagram of the Well of Souls in my training report. It's there behind me. So once the big boss, aka you, approves an application, the corresponding soul can be sucked into the well. I bet it tickles. Once it arrives in the great beyond, the system can reissue its essence in the form of a salary for Death Inc.'s employees. Patrick suggested I add some little stars to really show its magic. Show that it's magic. All right. Go ahead and pick up the Slaymore. Not sure who this is, and we'll see who this is. It's our social media guy, I think, which I don't think we have an entry for yet. So let's continue to go forward and go from here. I didn't want this to be just a boring Codex read, so we're going to go ahead and go to see if we can't beat Brad. And if I do, awesome. If I don't, then I will probably end up trying to skip to see where we can get actually to Brad. Don't know if I've ever been to the Solari Prisium department. Let's see what this is all about. Alrighty, let's see what I got. Got some Solari, all 10. Yay! Ooh, a Prisium. Another arena. Almost. Gotcha. Ooh, what's this? The Shakespeare. I might as well look at that right now. Back in the days of yore, the company was in its infancy, and Death still enjoyed working out in the field without having to spend too much time worrying about administrative formalities. He was quietly harvesting tormented souls along the banks of the Tiber when, for the only time in his miserable existence, a mortal soul managed to touch him with the sharpened tip of a lance. Wonder if there's more to these and you just get more as you collect them over and over again. Hey everybody, Editing Crow here. We ran out of time because of the time constraints that YouTube likes to put on newer videos and channels. So go ahead and I hope to the next video, and we will continue on this run from there. Go ahead and give it a like and subscribe if you liked it. If you want to, go ahead and leave me a comment and let me know how I'm doing. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see everybody in the next one. Bye!